Hello, everyone. You're very welcome to this afternoon session. Thank you so very much for joining. Um, it's lovely to see you. We are just going to wait a couple of minutes so that our colleagues have a little bit of time to join after a busy day. I understand it's very warm where you are, so please do make sure that you have a drink to keep you hydrated, or even better, an ice cream. That'd be amazing. So in the chat on the meeting, you're very welcome to say hello and say where you're joining from and perhaps which school you are attached to. That would be amazing. If you don't know where the chat is on the Teams call, it's the kind of call out button, the speech bubble. Just tap on that and it will open the chat window for you. Perfect. A few more people joining. That's amazing. I've just added where I'm joining from in the chat, so please do feel free to find the chat, say hello, and let me know where you're joining from. Thank you so much. So the session you've joined today is a secondary focused session about using iPad in education, and it would be extra helpful if you could indeed, hi Agatha, if you could indeed write down if you already use iPad in your school, in your setting, and which age group you are presently teaching. I think we've got shy people today, Beth. Here we go. Hi, Agatha from Poland. Lovely to see you on this session. Looking so fresh and sunny today. And also Victor from Guernsey. Thank you for joining this session. I know you joined us last week for the primary version. Excellent. So I think we're just going to get started, to be honest, Beth, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's get started.
Perfect. Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you so very much for joining. If you wish to take off your camera, you are and come onto camera, you are absolutely welcome to do that. We'll probably keep you on mute, but if you need to ask a question, please do put your question into the chat. Hi, Victor. That's good to see you. Please do put your comments into the chat because Beth is here and going to be monitoring that for me. So, as I said, today is a webinar that has been hosted by MCC Digital. Thank you so much again for inviting me to work with you on this. And this session is about 45 minutes. And we're going to look very much at the secondary phase of education, and particularly at how iPad can improve and support your students to make sure that learning sticks. Now, coming out of the exam period here in the UK, you're probably thinking, Vickie, why are you doing this session now? Well, it's always important to reflect, and there's no better time to reflect than just after the event. So I think it's quite timely, and hopefully I'll be showing you some skills and some features of iPad that you are not yet aware of. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to get the presentation started so that we can dive in. So if you do have iPad, and you want to join along, you're very welcome to join in. We will be using um, our freeform. I'm going to start my video as well on that. There we go. We will be using freeform as an app and notes. So if you have that downloaded, that will be really helpful. Okay, so like I say, today is about iPad for teaching and learning, and it's focused on the secondary phase. My name is Vickie Bacon. I am lead Apple professional learning specialist in the UK and Ireland, and it's my absolute pleasure to share with you my expertise using Apple products. But you also need to know that I am an educator. I'm a teacher of about 35 years standing now. And in that time, my passion and my continued interest is in how learning and teaching evolves in the classroom. So, our agenda for today is to look at assessment and features that are built into iPad to support learning. We're going to have a quick discussion. You're going to have time to maybe explore those new skills on iPad. We're going to apply the skills to teaching and learning and in your classroom, and then reflect on how that might affect your particular pupils. And then at the end, we're going to look at some extra education resources. So, this question, I want you to start to think about yourself. How do you at the moment empower learners to prepare them for tomorrow? Because in the sector that you work, beyond education is very much in focus and it's very tangible for your students. Let's face it, it's the reason that they're heading towards the end of their kind of formalized education. So work beckons. So I wonder if you are completely aware that these are the 8 most important skills, according to the World Economic Forum, in their Jobs for Future survey of last year. And these are the skills that your students will absolutely need in order to become or to take up those relevant posts and jobs in their chosen careers. Now, as you can see, at number 3, literacy in any type of technology and digital work is absolutely going to be one of those top skills, as well as the ability to think analytically. That's where we also have that idea of critical thinking, but also being able to think creatively. And that's not just being able to draw. Creative thinking is about different approaches, understanding, showing understanding in different ways. So, what does learning on iPad actually mean? So, no matter what the task, iPad is a powerful and portable tool to get things done. It's versatile and it can become a notepad for your students, a sketchbook, a camera, a production studio, or even a window into another world if you're using augmented reality. But if we're teaching with iPad, we need better learning, and teaching starts with this flexible and easy to use tool that has privacy absolutely at its heart and accessibility built in so that we have sustainability and equity for our students. And as you know, iPad is designed to make learning personal, creative, but also empower your students to have a voice, to have that tool that allows them to show their understanding. So let's go ahead and explore. Now, as you can see here, I've got 12 tasks. We're not going to do all of these 12 tasks today. I'm going to limit to just 2 of them. That's all we'll have time for. So we're going to do number 2 at the top on the orange, which is brainstorm and plan with freeform. This one here. And then I'm also going to follow that up by using voice memos with notes to summarize learning. So what we're going to do here is start with our brainstorm and plan with freeform. Now, if you are able to, maybe you could jot down by the side of you or add to the chat if you can. How do you already brainstorm and plan for learning and teaching? Just take a pause and think about when was the last time you sat with a colleague and thought about how you were going to present your plan for learning to your students. And Beth, if anything comes into the chat, please do call it out.
We've got
Thank
sticky
you.
notes.
Excellent. Yeah. So post-it notes, sticky notes, always a great way. Any other responses?
None yet.
That's okay, no problem. So what I'd like to show you today is freeform. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to utilize the steps that you can see on the screen to the right. And I'm going to go through these steps now. Then I'm going to come off of the camera and actually demonstrate it live to you. So if you want to follow along, now's your opportunity. Okay, so if you have freeform, please open that. And what we're going to do is create a new board. Now, I'm just going to drop off of my keynote just to show you what freeform looks like. So this here is freeform. It's the white icon with the kind of shapes and squiggle. So if you tap on here, you should then be able to just tap on the plus button to open a new freeform. Okay, I'm going to jump back into the keynote so I can show you the next steps. So once you've added the title, and what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a fully formed freeform board, because freeform is an endless whiteboard, and it's an area or a notepad that you can put in any type of media to support your students. So any type of resource, and I'm going to show you that shortly. We'll come back to these steps in a moment, but if you are looking at the top line of your freeform, you will see that you'll be able to add drawings and photos, videos, audio recordings, and actually most files, including augmented reality files. This is the bit that I think is an unknown, and I'm going to be excited to share with you how you can make a scene which can support your students to further their understanding. And then lastly, I'm going to show you how to share and maybe record your board. So I'm going to drop back into freeform now. And as you can see on here, I've got a lot of boards. These ones are working for different reasons in different types of settings. So this is what a freeform board could look like. And I'm just going to use my pinch gesture with my two fingers I'm just going to go down to show you. Can you see down in this bottom corner here? It's just 10% of the board. And I've got all of this rest of this space to fill. But before I show you the actual board, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to share with you where that you can add all of these features, because these are just a series of shapes. So if I wanted to add a shape onto a freeform board here, let's have a look. I've just tapped here. And if you are familiar with Keynote, you'll know exactly what this shape bank does. It also has the ability for you to go on to preloaded icons in here so that um, you can see here, I can add icons in different ways really quickly straight onto my board. Sticky notes, they're a useful one. So I've just added a sticky note there, and you can see that it's straight onto the board. If I tap on it with my finger, that's where I get additional editing. So I can change colours, etc. here, duplicate it. But it's also, if I just double tap in the middle, I can start to write in it. That adjusts depending on the size of your note. So that's really quick and easy to do. You can also use all of your markup tools. And as you can see, the markup tools have arrived on the bottom here. So I'm just going to move them so you can see them. And don't forget to go down, scroll through those markup tools, because there's other hidden tools that you forget are there. There's also the ability, if I put it up the top here, for you to go to the More button, and you can also change settings. And if you haven't got an Apple Pencil or a stylus, you can toggle this on and draw with your finger. Okay, so the other things you can do on here is, we've done those three. You can add a text box, really straightforward, similar to any other way to use Apple products. You just double tap on it and fill in the space. And then this is a really exciting box, because this is where you can add all of those other links that I was talking about. So you can scan into a document straight into a free form, add stickers, use your camera, both as photo and video, and also access your photos library. And of course, not to forget that you can also insert any file from any of your other spaces, either OneDrive, OneNote, Files, iCloud. They're all able to be put onto this board. Now, if you're working with your students and you work collaboratively, you can absolutely start to manage this board and share it and work collaboratively on that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how I would perhaps work as a teacher on Freeform. And what I would do is I would set up my lesson, the learning objective here. It could be part of a unit. It could be a whole unit that you have on here rather than maybe step by step. It could be part of a module from any type of subject that you teach. All I've done here is broken down something that I want my student to learn into sections. I've put them into inquire, explain, and reflect, because I want my students to start to learn to do that. But within each of them, I've given them, can you see here, ideas and resources that will support them to start them off. Like I said earlier, there's also the ability to put video in. So this is a video that is on my freeform board, which is a bit of an AR view, because this is about Mars. I was taking them to Mars and seeing that Mars rover happen. Now you can see that when I tap the box, I get these little icons pop up, and it's the eye that will view that particular resource. So I'm just going to press pause there, and you can see it says it's a video or movie on that part. Okay, I can also add into here maybe some starter questions and ask them just by putting on an icon to tell me what they know. So this is, what do you already know? Opportunity. And we're going to come back to a voice note in a moment. But if you remember, voice note is up here and we can add that in. Okay, so as you can see, I've spent my planning time with my colleague, perhaps, putting this learning into a board. And I hope you agree, it looks rather inviting. And I've also got links here to augmented reality. And I've also got links here to how I want my students or are suggesting my students might show their understanding. So this is a numbers spreadsheet that they could go into. And again, if they tap onto it, tap on the eye, it will open numbers directly into their device. Okay, so we're back in to this. Now, the other thing that you can do with the freeform, once you've used it as a planning document, is duplicate it and give that as a blank um, to your students so that then they can annotate around it. So you can see my student here has taken this on board with their initial thoughts, just writing those initial thoughts in. Now, as we do this, I'm going to make some scenes. Do you remember I mentioned that? Because I'm going to come back to it. So I'm going to use the scene of the starting page as the first one. So down in the bottom corner here, I have, if you have a star just showing, tap on the star and it will reveal the scene button. So you need the kind of bullet point to add a scene. And as you can see here, I've added some of these already. So this is the overview. So I'm going to redo that again to show you. So I'm going to add scene. And did you see that blue box really quickly appear? Now that blue box that really quickly appeared is now scene 7. So I'm just going to rename that scene um, module requirements. Okay, so I've renamed it. And also what I can do is I can reorder it to where I want that scene to be. So if there's something really important that I want my students to capture for reflection after the lesson, I can make a scene of that as well. So let's just go through that here on the temperature. Go back to that. The scene is being made and captured. I can rename that temperature. Now, this could be used for definitely for revision and key points that answer maybe in an example, a question when you're talking to your students, saying that that is a particularly good answer. Now, here we have all of the annotations that my students done, and I've got here some ChatGPT prompts that maybe can help them with their research. I've also got the ability for these pieces of information to be added and marked up to show deeper understanding and annotated notes. So I could use this because if it's being collaborative, I can see it immediately, but my students can share this with me by using the share arrow in the top here, and they can share it here, as you can see, by either adding it to a Padlet board, if that's what you use, Good Notes, or indeed, I can, if I scroll across here, I can use it in Teams, or there's more down here that I can use. So if I wanted to go to my Google Drive, I could do that as well. So all of this is completely shareable. Now, remember those scenes? If I go back down to here, can you see I've got 2 controls? I can go through those controls and show you the bits that I want you to focus on or that I thought were important for my teacher to see. So to share my understanding. Now, the reason I'm showing you that is because when I on here finish the lesson or finish with that, can you see I can export the scenes as a PDF? So the bits of that freeform board that I've chosen as important can be exported as a PDF and shared with my students. So that's a really fantastic way of maybe doing an exit ticket for your students and also building up knowledge that reduces their cognitive load because it only focuses on that need and that really either specific understanding or areas that they need help with. It also structures that retrieval skill because enables your students to save just the bits that they need to know. So as you can see here, I can then save it to all of my usual places, or if I'm working in Word, I can convert it to Word, and obviously there you can see I can import it to Microsoft as well. So that's a really easy way and um, flexible, adaptable way of utilizing freeform as a way of sharing from the planning stage as a teacher, saving so much time by duplicating and giving your students a breadth and a real depth of understanding and different ways of working. So I hope you enjoyed that kind of very quick look through freeform. I'll come back to freeform in a wee while. But what I want to do now, because I'm very aware of time, I'm going to jump back into the keynote and I'm going to ask you just to maybe jot down a couple of ways that you would like to apply using freeform in your setting. If you want to add that to the chat, please feel free. I've got a couple of ideas. I think this would be great to visualize maybe the steps of a science experiment and maybe even build out a much bigger kind of project for maybe a field trip or an upcoming exchange trip. It could also act as a portfolio to show week on week how skills are developing because you can also use video and voice notes. It would be a fantastic way to capture that knowledge. And as we said, curating revision notes by using the scenes is a really sensible and accessible way to work with freeform. Okay, so our first um, demonstration is done. We're going to now move on to looking at how we can summarize learning because I think it's that reduction in cognitive load and being able to support your students to really gather just the information that they need to take on, which will help them in their retrieval skills to build into assessment. So what we're going to do is we're going to use voice memos and iPad to, sorry, on iPad to support the learning and the thinking. So at this moment, I'm not sure how you prepare students to summarise their learning. Maybe you get them to do a Quizlet. Maybe you get them to make digital flashcards. Maybe you get them to do a Padlet that is interactive, or scan documents in that are around that area. So what I'm going to do is show you an activity that's really accessible for everyone and one that I'm sure that your students will do because it's centered around using Safari. So any browser will be an endless source of information, but I'm going to show you how to focus learning because let's be honest, we only have a certain amount of time in our lessons to get things done. And I'm also going to support my student to retrieve that information at a later date. So I'm going to show you all of the 5 steps straight away because I think the best way to do this is to actually physically share this with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to open Safari. We're going to add it to a reading list because that's important for retrieval. We're going to make it into a marked up PDF. And then we're going to look at how we can access that information live and then how we can store that information for later. And to do that, we're also going to summarize the learning using voice note. Okay, so I'm going to jump straight into this by going into Safari. So here we go, down in Safari. And as you can see, I'm going to jump out of this website just for a moment. I'll be back to here in a second. Now, I've gone to the BBC News website and I found this really incredible article about a 3D printed face um, that is helping this man to get back to his usual self. Now, initially, when you look at a page on Safari, you'll see that there's an awful lot of information. I'm distracted by this picture down here in Tehran. So what I'm going to do is show you a quick and easy way that is built into iPad to stop that distraction. So you can see when I tap on the screen and line icon next to the URL, that opens up a menu called the reader. So I can either go into show reader or hide the distracting items. Okay, either one. And also at this point, I'm going to show you that I could translate this website. So if English isn't my first language, or if I'm learning a new language, this is a really easy way to just translate any website instantly. So now we're in French, and that was really quick and easy to do. So I'm just going to go to view original and I'm back to here. Now, this is now converted to the reader mode, which means all the distracting items have gone and I'm just left with the text. Now, that's the thing I want because I want to focus just on that learning. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a gesture from this bottom corner. I'm going to swipe up and looks like I'm taking a screenshot. In fact, what I'm going to do, if you can see at the top here, it says screen or full page. I'm actually making this whole web page into a PDF. And you can see here on the side that that's the PDF already there. So as I go through, you can see me scrolling through there. Now, the reason I've done that is because you can also see when I've done that, I activate my markup. So I'm going to tap on my markup tools that are down the bottom here. And again, remember, if I'm not happy with them there, I can move them. And I'm going to highlight just by tapping on each of those pencils. You can see width and opacity. I'm going to do some markup on my article so that it gives me some idea of just quick skimming, specialist reconstructive expertise, um, multiple operations for reconstruction, um, began to get his life back together. Okay, so you can see that I can also on here, because it's markup, I can add any other features as well. I can add additional text. I can also add shapes, and it's interesting to note that in shapes you also have a call out. So it might be that you have those call outs added to your PDF. Okay, so now I've done that, I can then press done and save my PDF to file, so on my iCloud account on my iPad. And if I save to photos also, I can do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my notes, and you'll see here from my notes that if you've not used notes before, what you can do is start a new note just by tapping on the blank paper with the pencil icon on it. I've added a title, and I've also added a hashtag of learning on here. And they're very straightforward. I'm going to show you that on my keyboard. Really easy to do that. Medicine, I'm going to write on there. And I'm also going to add another um, tag for technology, because, and as you can see, if I press return, it activates. Now, the reason I've added tags to this again is for that retrieval, because if I just show you on here where the folders are, I can also add my note into a new folder, and I can call that folder, let's just say it's revision notes today. And this is for technology. So I get the option to make this a smart folder. What that means is that I can filter all of my notes for particular areas. So if I've got a tag, I can select the tag that I want to go into this folder. So it might just be that anything with technology would go into my technology revision. So you could have math, science, English, history. You can see how that might work. Okay, and then if I go onto here, can you see it has a cog rather than a folder, because it's a smart folder. And if I tap on it, you can see that I don't need to do anything. It automatically goes into that smart folder, and there is my work so far. Okay, if you're new to Notes, these little icons here are going to be hopefully very familiar to you. If I tap on the paperclip, that's where I can add all manner of different types of media into my note. So I can scan a document directly into that. I can either take a photo live, or I can choose a photo, and I'm going to choose my photo that I did, which was my PDF. Do you remember? So that's the PDF that I took from that website with my information on it and my markup as well. I can also choose to do an audio recording. So if I wasn't on this Teams call, I could tap on audio recording, and it would bring up that recording, and I would just need to press this big red button for it to record my voice. And then I could summarize that web page from my underlinings or whatever I've pulled out from that, so that I could just next time just listen to the recording rather than have to reread that article. This recording won't work on the Teams call, but that's one way of working with that particular tool. Okay, So the other thing I can do is thinking about utilizing the inbuilt features of iPad is use my split view and then also put in voice memo, which is already loaded into your iPad, and do exactly the same. Now, this could also be used. You can see that the recording has gone in. This could also be used for different languages. So it could be that I read in English and speak in French, or vice versa, or I just have the ability to share that across. Now, one thing that I did want to show you is that if you go to, I'm not sure I can show you that actually. Let me see. Yes. When I did make a recording, so I did a little tester earlier. If you look up into the top corner here, you get the transcript. And that's really important because here I can translate that, or I can indeed have it spoken back to me. So it's not like, again, cognitive overload. I can actually, if I'm on the bus on the way home from school or college, I can listen to this in my earphones and maximize my time. So I can just speak
Donald
that.
Trump has left the G7 meeting in Canada early. The reasons given by Donald Trump's side is that there is uncertainty
So
about what's
as you
going
can
on in the
see,
Middle East. But later, the same team.
brilliant. Okay, so that is a couple of ways that I can utilize my inbuilt tools. So hopefully there's some really good ideas there for you to use. Now we're just going to jump back to our applying the skills. Again, these are some of the ways that we can utilize that, solving word problems and describing the process. So actually making maths um, able to be spoken is such a fascinating way and a proven way of making it stick. Also, you can include music and recording songs and perhaps lyrics, poems. It goes on and on. So, as we're coming to the last part of our session together today, the last 10 minutes, I'd like just to share with you where you can further your knowledge of some of these activities. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to jump in to the Apple Education Centre. And as you can see up here, in any browser, if you just put in education.apple.com, you will also be able to access this resource. It's completely free, and if you tap on Explore the Learning Centre, you will see revealed all of that information. Now, there's so much that I could show you on here, but what I want you to focus on are two things under professional learning. The first one is the foundation skills. And these are skills, if you've forgotten how to use perhaps um, notes or freeform or um, keynote, numbers, any of those, you can go into these foundations and find out how to break down the skills here for those particular areas. And all you do is tap on and it will reveal to you how to work. So if you forgot how to do the multitasking that I shared with you, then you can just tap on that link and it will open to take you through a step-by-step 2 minute tutorial on how to do that. Or indeed, as we discussed, notes. And there you can also see voice memos as an extra. So that is available for both Mac and iPad. And of course, if you go through all of them, you can earn badges and recognition for your time and become what we call an Apple teacher. Now, that's really great if you encourage your colleagues to do that with you, so you can all learn together. I, however, would also recommend you looking at the lesson integration section because this is for the next stage up when you're utilising iPad in the classroom and you're working on perhaps coding or the Everyone Can Create series, which is, if you don't know, an incredible curriculum based around video, music, um, and the skills to build those creativity. And also, if you just go just down a little bit further, you'll see it's Apple Teacher Portfolio. Now, that Apple Teacher Portfolio is the next stage, and it's there as well. So I'm just going to tap onto that. And what I mean about the next stage is if you want to be recognised for your work, Apple will do that by giving you the structure, and it will show you here. Now, I'm going to just jump into the apply section because these examples give you another way, as it says here, show mastery of content, but this time with creative projects. And in a secondary setting, I think these would be perfect. So if you wanted, instead of just asking your students to mark up a document as I've shown you, or work in freeform, here we've got another 7 ways that you can work with your student. How about making a podcast? Or indeed making a rap about your knowledge. So let's just jump into the podcast to show you what that does. And you can see all the others are still up on the screen there. It gives you a little example to share maybe with your students. And then if you go down a little bit, it will show with you how to work with the audio recorder in GarageBand to make a podcast. So you just tap on the link and download that into your iPad. So hopefully that's a clear way for you to further your knowledge about what you could do with your students to support them, to share their understanding, but more importantly, to retrieve that at the right time. Okay, I'm just going to jump out of here and ask if there's any notes. Beth, any questions that need to be answered, or indeed if
No.
anyone wants to come off their camera and ask a question. So let's have a look. Bronwyn has said notes is a remarkable tool. Thank you, Bronwyn. I'm absolutely sure that you've got many opportunities to show that those workflows and, as you say, boost productivity for both educators and students. Thank you so much for that. And also, people saying that Notes is a great tool because it's so flexible and adaptable. So really great on that. It's great. These are all amazing. Fantastic. Digital treasure hunts, scavengers, absolutely. Students to do collaborative tasks. Amazing. Yeah. I think it would be really fantastic for everybody to give one of those tasks a go this week with their students and see how it works out. So Beth, do you think we've got 1 more minute just to share a survey?
Yes. Yes,
Is that
that's fine.
possible?
Yeah.
So
Go for it.
thank you so much everybody for bearing with the session today. I'd love for you, if you could, to give me a little bit of feedback on that session. And when you open up this QR code that I'm just about to reveal to you, I'd love it if you could give me some information on whether you feel confident now to try either freeform notes or indeed to visit the education centre. So let me just share that with you now. It takes about 2 minutes to do the activity. And I have to say that when you see it, you'll see that the number at the end, the 5767, that's my number. It should really say my name. It's not very personal, is it? But this is something that I would really like to use to reflect on this particular session. So if you have a second device that you can use, please do scan that QR code and answer the 3 questions. I think the 3 questions you'll be asked is what's your role at school, and also whether we're online or face to face. And then there'll be a big blank space for you to answer that question. Thank you so very much. Okay, thank you. So Beth, we are back to the beginning.
Yes, just want to thank everyone so much. I know everyone's busy this time of the year especially, so we really do appreciate you all coming on and just listening in to what we have to share.
That's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, thank you so very much, as Beth said. So if you're interested in finding out a little bit more about iPad, this time next week, we're going to be looking at accessibility and how each device can be personalised for your students' needs. So love it if you could join us. I know that Beth is sending out reminders, so do book onto the webinar, and I look forward to seeing you next week. But thank you so very much. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
everyone. Bye. See
Bye.
you next week.
Thanks very much.